Coming up on this episode of the Village Idiom.
Been one. I'm saying to Jesus as a man.
Well, this is why I'm a huge fan of human sacrifice. People.
Village Idiom.
Hello and welcome to the Village Idiom.
We are a podcast that every single week chooses a popular saying to take a shallow but hopefully comedic and once in a while interesting dive into its meaning, its usage, its origins, and we're also going to hang our otherwise directionless conversation on. My name is Jurassic Mark.
And this is Jurassic Mark.
You missed your cue.
Oh man, that's okay. Why are you blaming me all the time for these things?
And I'm blaming you. And this is Skinny to my left.
What, are you getting kicked out?
No, but I think you might be.
What?
Yeah, they needed a scapegoat.
See there, I was trying to set you up with some blame, some scapegoating.
Oh, I'll be the scapegoat for you, man.
Yeah?
Sure.
I'll be a scapegoat.
I'll be a scapegoat.
I'll be a huckleberry.
Scapegoat is this is the first time I looked back. This is the first time our idiom du jour is one word.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, interesting. Hey?
A one-word idiom.
Yeah, so I guess, is it an idiom?
When I started doing the research, it immediately went scapegoat idiom origin.
There you go.
Yeah, so they must be. I'm not the first person to have typed the word scapegoat.
Yeah, exactly. So. Yeah, so scapegoat is today's idiom, and that was a little clip of Chris Pratt on the OC, setting us up with definition even. Somebody taking the blame,
scapegoating
for other people's faults. Can you be a scapegoat if it was your fault?
I think it's just called personal responsibility at that point.
We need a scapegoat. How about the guy that did it?
Perfect. Well, there would be examples why you would take on the scapegoat persona if you felt that you couldn't get into trouble. For example, you have a guest over and whatever, something happens. I don't know, they spilled juice all over the carpet or whatever. Just say one of your kids spills juice on the carpet.
Okay.
And then they go, man, take this one for me.
Right.
Like, because they're not going to get in trouble. You'd be like, right. Oh, yeah, don't worry. Things happen.
Yeah.
But if it's like, I've told you 100 times to not drink juice in the carpet area.
Yeah, totally.
And so that would be a time where it'd be like, take this one for it. Take this hit for the team because you can't get in trouble.
Be the scapegoat, please, for the love. And that's by definition what it is. Take the punishment for someone else. And so like I
dispute your definition.
Okay.
So it's not so much as take on. How did you refer it? Take on the
punishment for other.
It's more so. Scapegoat is actually more. I put the punishment on you, than you took it of your own free will.
Well, I think if you choose to be the scapegoat, nobody knows that.
Okay, so I imagine we'll get into this in origins. You want to? I don't know. That would be really early to jump in on some origins of things.
Well.
But I've got a little rant about this that's kind of bugging me, and I wanted to get in on it, but it really overlaps in with the origin. So,
okay. Well, first let's just say, goats have really weird eyes.
Agreed.
You want to get into origins?
Who has eyes that are rectangles?
It's the weirdest thing ever.
It's weird.
Yeah,
they're like digital.
Here we go.
All right.
Said some words. Where'd they go? Where'd they go? No one can know. I turned around and looked behind. Those words came from another mind. Origin.
All right. So give you your intro. Give your rant.
Okay. So this idea of the rant. Okay, so in origins, you can get into more detailed origins. It has a whole lot to do with the Day of Atonement and Jewish history. That this Day of Atonement, Yom Kippur, where you would put the sins of the nation on the goat, and then send the goat off into the wilderness. Yeah. So the scapegoat became the taker away of the sins of the country. My dispute with it being viewed as a like having a choice is it's a goat. And so it had this put upon it. It didn't say, I'd like to do this.
Right.
So the scapegoat it's not like, so the part that bugs me in that, because so in that Christian
your friend example, when you were asking your friend, can you take this one for me?
Take this one for me. Very different than I'm putting this on you. You have no say in it.
Right.
And so I think that gets into a problem.
Fake blame of someone.
It seems really disingenuous to say like scapegoating, because it gets cross-referenced to Christ being a form of a scapegoat, someone who takes away the sins of the world. But he very much chose that, as opposed to, we're just going to lay hands on the goat, and he's now going to go die in the wilderness.
So we should,
good luck, buddy.
Let's specify a little bit here, though. So first of all, this comes from Leviticus 16. I didn't write the chapter. I think it's chapter 16, but it's verses 20 to 22. I'm going to read it really quick.
Sure.
Put it into perspective. And when he has made an end of atoning for the holy place and the tent of meeting and the altar, he shall present the live goat. So bear in mind, these 3 verses come after they have sacrificed the first goat. So there's 2 goats. One gets slaughtered, blood gets taken into the holy place, and now they have a live goat. And Aaron shall lay both his hands on the head of the live goat and confess over it all the iniquities of the people of Israel and all their transgressions, all their sins, and he shall put them on the head of the goat and send it away into the wilderness by the hand of a man who is in readiness. The goat shall bear all their iniquities on itself to a remote area and shall let the goat go free in the wilderness. Now, in the version I just read, it doesn't use the word scapegoat, because that is a more modern translation. If you go back all the way to William Tyndale, that is where the word first appears in English, scapegoat, as a single word. But it is talking
the
about
Tyndale Bible.
Yep. It is talking about the and that's what 1500s Tyndale Bible. I think I have it. Yeah, 1530. So he uses the word scapegoat, and I have more information about his translation of that. But we've got 2 goats. One gets slaughtered. One gets hands laid on by Aaron, the high priest, at that time, and sent into the wilderness, carrying away the sins of Israel.
So my dispute in that iconography of relaying that to Jesus was that Jesus had a choice in the matter, and the goat didn't have a choice in the matter.
So then you don't disagree with my earlier statement that someone could choose to be the scapegoat.
I think the only way that you can so the scapegoat had no choice. So as soon as that choice is involved, that you're not the scapegoat.
So Jesus, this comparison to Christ in the Bible is incorrect.
I have issue with that.
But your only issue is with the definition of the word scapegoat. So it's not a really heavy
of the meaning that someone took it by choice versus imposition.
Well, maybe this. I want to get into the etymology of the word and stuff, but maybe this will help because. So you kind of explained Day of Atonement, Yom Kippur. I mean, you didn't explain it, but you referenced ancient Judaism, actually even still modern Judaism and what they celebrate, about the slain goat and one that took away the sins. Now, Christian perspectives, I grew up in the church, still a part of the church, very much involved in the church, and still was reading this going, like...
It's not talked about.
Yeah, it's not talked about a whole lot. But I'm gonna read it. In Christianity, this process prefigures the sacrifice of Christ on the cross for the propitiation of sins. But I think this is interesting. Jesus Christ is seen to have fulfilled all of the types. The types is earlier in the article. He is both the sacrificial lamb. He is the lamb that takes the sins upon himself and takes them away from the world. Mm-hmm. He's also the high priest, being Aaron. So he's all 3 of the elements of the earlier thing, according to Christians' belief. So his ability to choose, in my estimate, makes him not like the original scapegoat who just had it put upon them and good luck, buddy, send you off into the wilderness. Okay, well, let me throw this at you.
Sure.
Did he have a choice? And this is why I ask you this.
Sure.
I'm playing, no pun intended, devil's advocate here.
Sure.
Earlier in the garden, he prays, if this job can be taken away from me, he refers to it as a cup, let that be the case. He was asking for a way out.
Okay, so you're saying...
So did he have a choice?
Not your will, or not my will, but yours be done.
Yeah.
So inferencing that he had no choice but to go to the cross.
Right.
Sure, could have instituted a different system for atonement. I can't think of one.
No,
but
I'm not saying there should be one or could have been one. I'm saying, did Jesus, as a man,
well, this is why I'm a huge fan of human sacrifice. People always ask me, like, why are you such a fan of sacrificing people? And because at least the human choice has to be the factor, as opposed to I laid hands on the goat walked, or someone sent the goat off into the wilderness, whatever happened to the goat, whatever. So that was the scapegoat. The goat had no choice.
Where did that goat go with all those sins?
I don't know. Well, then you get into, see, like in terms of like imagery and iconography of like demonic things and goat.
Yeah.
So that it's associated with evil stuff, like, there's a guy from the Flight of the Conchords. Remember he came into that movie and wearing like hooves?
Oh, what was that?
Yeah, what's his name? But anyways,
his name is Jerome something, but I don't remember what
that movie.
Yeah,
he comes in all in like hooves and all.
What movie was that though?
So, but that goat thing is really related to satanic and evil and all the rest of that. So, but it didn't have a choice. Is more like my nutshell,
right?
Whereas, yes. I believe that there was a choice. That's
true for all Old Testament sacrificing of animals.
Again, why I'm a fan of human sacrifice as opposed to animal.
The one, you mean? The one human sacrifice. Who did choose?
Well, let's not get into semantics.
Okay. Well, tell me what you think of this, because this is one of the things that I was learning as I was reading this, is that if you go back to where the word scapegoat comes from, the etymology of the word, so it actually, in Leviticus, the Hebrew word that is actually used, I'm probably pronouncing it wrong, but it's Azazel. Mm-hmm. And so
I'm already saving it for your riddle at the end.
Okay, good. There's controversy over whether that is translated into goat or if that's a proper name for a fallen angel or a demon. And so, I wasn't reading Christian references necessarily, but one of the sources says it's now generally accepted that Tyndale got his translation of the Hebrew source wrong. He misread Azazel in the original, translated it as Ez-Ozel, which literally means the goat that departs. And later scholars correct the mistake, and it doesn't appear in the Revised Version in 1884. And instead, it's Azazel with a capital A as a proper name, which was
personified it as a person or
as a demon or
interesting.
Yeah. So there is a little bit of like, you could probably write a paper on this and figure out what is actually.
So a phrase that I don't get is referring to someone as the goat. And you're hip to the modern, the youths and stuff and things. Yeah. What is the goat?
Do you actually not know?
I don't know what's going on with the goat.
Muhammad Ali is the GOAT. That's where it started.
Like the champ?
GOAT, greatest of all time.
Oh my, is that it?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
So he's the GOAT. He's the greatest of all time.
That's it?
Yeah.
Oh, that feels so stupid now. I can't believe that's it.
Muhammad Ali.
I was expecting something way bigger.
He's the GOAT. Greatest of all time. Yeah, that's all it is.
That's so funny. That'd be a great a hype up into some Old Testament, like, yeah, you the goat. It's like
here. Let's stay with the demonization here. Here's something for you.
Demonize. The same thing happened to Galileo.
We gotta play that again.
Mm-hmm.
Scapegoat, someone to demonize. The same thing happened to Galileo.
A little quote from Mouse Hunt that I thought was interesting. They needed a scapegoat, someone to demonize.
Well, yeah, and in that particular age of things, if something like a Galileo or like Copernicus, with him discovering that the sun is the center of our universe, they needed people to take one for the team, the scapegoat.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so there it is.
Well, going back to the Jesus version of what a scapegoat is, like,
dispute it, but continue.
No, you're disputing it?
I dispute the premise.
In what? Tell me your premise again. I don't think you're disputing anything.
So if
really.
you say I will take the sins of the nation, and you say, I will take this, you're choosing. But if I say, Mark, this is not a choice, you were just now taking the sins of the nation, you're like, there's a difference. The power is in the choice, which again,
I think
is
you can
why
choose to be
I
a scapegoat.
love
If the scapegoat is
human sacrifice.
taking the punishment of other.
You're choosing.
Yeah.
That's it. Thank you. The goat didn't get to choose. And so it takes away the power in my mind.
Oh, you're disputing whether the goat did anything. I thought you were disputing.
I'm certain the goat didn't do anything.
I know. I thought you were saying that. I thought you were coming at that completely the other side of the same coin, saying that you can't be a scapegoat if you choose it.
Okay, so
and I'm like, there's a million movies and just modern language where
Sure.
you're like,
No.
I'll be the scapegoat in this one,
yeah,
guys.
the choosing, I'll take one for the team is so yes, it's used that way, but I just see it as very different than the origins, which is the laying the hands on the goat.
Yeah,
it had nothing to do with the sins of the nation, I hope. And so it was just like, hands on, off to the wilderness you go.
But that was
Let's see
just
what happens.
tradition.
But this, I know it's origins.
This is the escaped goat
This is
from the punishment.
So the goat taking on the sins of the nation to atone for the sins of the nation, the scapegoat.
Right.
Different than, in my mind, choosing the scapegoat.
See, I thought you were saying the
goat-
opposite, that
that
if you
goat
choose
had-
it, you're not really the scapegoat. You've done nothing.
Well, the goat didn't do anything. Whereas saying, I choose to take
But
one,
let's say Jesus
take one for the team.
chose it.
Yes.
That there's more power in that, you're saying.
I think the only power comes from the choice.
Right.
That's my...
But the definition
my
of
premise.
just scapegoat in modern language is anyone or something taking the responsibility undeservedly.
Right. So that propitiation, that's that for the sins, the taking on substitute. I'm not like saying that Jesus didn't take on the sins of the world. I'm saying that he chose to take on the sins of the world.
Right.
And that's where the power of that comes in my mind.
The forgiveness, like the power of forgiveness of your own
versus
sin.
the goat who just was having a bad day. 1 minute he was doing
chewing grass with his rectangle pupils.
his goat stuff. The next thing you know, he was like, "Oh, I'm being pet by the high priest. This is lovely.
Lovely.
Go for a walk, okay?"
I think he's putting sunblock on me.
And that's a very different tale.
But the goat did escape sacrifice.
He was the greatest of all
He watched
time.
his buddy and went, so head off into the wilderness?
You got it.
You got it.
It gets worse.
So have you ever heard...
We don't know if he goes off and lives a great life.
He might.
He might go to a village where he's like treated like a pet.
Until the Day of Atonement comes again.
It's like,
He's
oh,
like,
man.
not this again.
It's like, is that the same goat we sent last year?
And he survives that one. And then the next. And after his sixth one, he's like, I'm truly the goat.
I'm the goat.
The greatest of all time.
Okay, so seriously, I live for a year with these people, and then I live for a year with these people. It's like
He just goes back and forth.
it's some sort of like
always showing up in town
divorce-
covered in blood.
divorced parent situation.
That probably did happen. A goat covered in blood shows up in some village, and there's probably whole like cultish.
I'm not gonna eat it. Do you know where it's been?
Yeah,
It's covered in
like,
blood.
Oh, he survived something. He's a god.
He's the goat.
He's the goat. Have you ever? I'm gonna shift gears here. Have you ever heard of an eggcorn? Eggcorn.
An egg-corn?
Yeah.
Nope, unicorn and an acorn, but
So-
not an eggcorn.
Okay, so this came from Tyndale again. So Tyndale's invention of scapegoat, which, by the way, I don't even know if we really said that. He took that Hebrew word and what he thought it meant, which was a goat that has escaped, and he invented the word. He coined the word scapegoat. So he literally, it had never been written or spoken before. He made up a word. How great is that? If you're translating something, you're like, so this means escaped goat, like a goat that has wandered off free. I'm going to make up a word.
He's
Might call it
so
a
Shakespeare
scapegoat.
or Snoop Dogg.
Yeah, Snoop Dogg. Anyway,
Goat Zizzle.
so not only is his invention of this word, it's kind of gotten suffered, but the scapegoat, the word, has suffered further at the hands of just dodgy spellers. So before it got its correction in 1884, it had already been garbled in other print from Tyndale's translation, and people just misspoke, misprinted, and called it scapegoat.
Scapegoat.
Yeah, and so funny enough, you can find scapegoat in old literature, not even that old. So for example, Bob Dylan in Ballad in Plain D, 1964. Of the two sisters, I loved the young. With sensitive instincts, she was the creative one, the constant scapegoat. The constant scapegoat are his lyrics.
He knows better.
But there's several occasions where it's written down as scapegoat because it's just a mistake. Because scape, what's that?
He was high on the marijuanas that day.
Possibly. So the reason I asked if you knew what an eggcorn is eggcorn. I have a list here of 100 eggcorns. Eggcorns are when, just by the English language being misspoken, misprinted, you hear it wrong, and so
it becomes a new
you
word?
hear lyrics of a song and you're like, I always thought it said this.
Sure.
And it's just that, except it goes far enough
Can I tell you
along.
the Bon Jovi one?
Which one?
Your love is like bad venison.
Venison. Mine was
Rancid deer meat is what
carry a laser. I thought it was carry a laser gun.
Yeah, I love that one. Carry a laser.
So eggcorn came from people thought acorn was eggcorn. So it's in old books. Often the actual nut from the oak tree is referred to as an eggcorn, but it's a total mistake.
Yeah, it is.
But it picked up speed, and so there's like down south whole areas that called it, still call it maybe eggcorn instead. And so now that mistake, when it grows legs and starts being used in other ways, is called an eggcorn. So I found a list of 100 eggcorns. So like
throw something at me. See if I can find its origin.
biting my time.
Biting.
Yeah. Calipitter.
I want to say caterpillar.
Caterpillar. Yeah. Some of them are just like, I've never heard that. Like
biting my time. That's funny,
right? Because it kind of makes sense. Like you're still
it doesn't.
But if you're using it, if you think that's I'm
just biting my time.
Yeah.
Well, that's not. Yeah. Okay.
Like you got it between your teeth. You're just waiting.
I just need some floss to get this time out of my teeth.
How about doggy dog world?
It better not be dog eat dog world.
Yeah.
Doggy dog?
Some people call it doggy dog world.
That sounds like Snoop again.
Probably.
Doggy dizzle.
Frustrated?
No. Because you can be flustered and frustrated.
Right.
So flustered.
That's like my son used to say, instead of except, like, I want all of them except the blue one. He would say butcept. And it works.
Butcept.
I want all of them but except that one.
So except but that one. So butcept.
So you just fused it together. I'm like, that's a great word, man.
Butcept.
Hell in a handbag. Not a saying. Hell in a handbasket.
Hell in a handbasket, yeah. Well, I see.
And some are dumb, like iced tea instead of iced tea.
Yeah. Yeah.
The lesser of two equals.
It has a mashup between like genius and like illiteracy.
Yeah, exactly.
You're like,
yeah.
Iced tea.
I always said it was lesser of two equals.
Iced tea?
Lesser of two equals is genius.
Less. Yeah.
Like it's the lesser of two evils.
Yeah.
But lesser of two equals. That's me in this situation right now.
No. That is a genius phrase. The lesser of two equals. That sounds like a Yogi Berra kind of some quote.
Yeah. Intentionally.
Roy Rogers-y. Anyway.
Anyway.
And how come he got his own drink? A Roy Rogers.
You're thinking of the Arnold Palmer or the Shirley Temple.
Yeah, the Shirley Temple, but there's the Roy
or
Rogers.
The root beer.
It's a root beer.
Root beer. Root beer.
Well, because you start off with a slurry.
Underbrella.
There's a hint of truth in it.
This one I've heard from kids, Valentine's Day.
Valentine's.
Anyway.
See, those are good stuff.
Anyway.
Well, maybe it, I don't know, but then it comes that flip side of like genius, or is it like, okay, Pa? Like
that's what it is.
It's mistakes.
Sure. Yeah. It's mistakes. Scapegoat. Scapegoat by Bob Dylan.
Well, let's get into some of these, the tail end here, the riddlinks.
Alrighty,
Is it a riddlink or a riddlink?
Oh, man. Well, spelling-wise, the way we spell it, it's more of a riddlink.
It's a riddlink, but it's a riddlink.
Riddlink is a game we like to play. Riddlink is a game we like to play. That is a two-part trivia-based question that requires a two-part but overlapping answer, overlapping by sound or word or words if you're really lucky. And so, for example, last week or the week before, I'm getting lost in our weeks, but the one I'm going to reference is our Long in the Tooth episode. And we left you with this riddlink. Relating to horses' Latin style, you could sample and compare fermented grapes. Did you figure that one out? Mm-mm. So related to horses, anything that's related to horses comes from a Latin word, which is equine.
I was going to say equestrian.
Yeah, equestrian, equine.
Okay.
Equine tasting.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That's nice.
Equine tasting. So equine and wine tasting, they're overlapped by a sound. And so the answer is equine tasting. And that is how you play riddlink or riddlink or eggcorn.
Okay. I do have one that is there's going to be, it's a little left fieldy.
Okay.
But you'll get enough of it that you might get it. If you're one of our illegitimate children out there, see if you can get it before Jurassic Mark.
Oh, man.
Okay, here we go.
Okay.
This 2001 Guinness record holding MMORPG.
What? Is that the whole thing?
Carries our sins away.
Okay,
this
what's
2001 Guinness record holding MMORPG, which is a massive multiplayer online role-playing game.
Okay. Do I actually need to know a human's name?
You don't need to know anyone's name. It's a video game from like mid 2000s. It was very popular. It was hugely popular.
Time Scapegoat.
Okay, you're getting close. I can hear them yelling.
It's not time. Is it something scape like Earthscape? Yes. Earth Scapegoat. Spacescape.
You're on the right track. It's RuneScape.
Oh, I had never gotten there.
Okay, RuneScape.
RuneScapegoat.
A RuneScape, yeah.
So when you were saying what were the letters?
An MMORPG.
My brain went to MMA.
Okay,
and so
that's not gonna
I
get it
thought
done.
It was going to end in something pro, and I was like something propitiation.
Wow,
I'm like,
that's terribly devious.
Yeah. Okay, good. So RuneScapegoat.
A RuneScapegoat.
Nice. Which is actually an eggcorn because it's RuneScape.
So in this case, it is a RuneScape.
I know.
which is not an eggcorn.
All right, I got one for you. You ready for this?
Sure.
Scapegoat is found in this book of the Bible with a canine tooth.
Leviticuspid? Wow, I almost choked on my tongue.
Leviticuspid.
I was thinking tusk, and then
Leviticuspid.
And that happened to me repeatedly.
The
Leviticuspid. Very nice. It's very nice. I like. Okay.
Okay, give me another one. We're doing good.
The Jewish Day of Atonement.
Oh, okay.
Who discovered the sun is the center of our universe.
So not Yom Kippur? Discovered Yom Kippur. Who discovered that? I thought it was Galileo.
No. The Jewish Day of Atonement.
Yeah.
Who discovered the sun is the center of our universe. Say it quickly. Yom Kippur.
Copernicus. Yom Copernicus.
Yom Copernicus.
It's not Galileo. Okay, I got one more, but we're going to leave it for everybody else so you can take a look at or you can let us know how they can get a hold of us.
Sure, you can reach out to us on Instagram at the.village.idiom, email the Village Idiom podcast at gmail.com, or whether it's Facebook, YouTube, or Twitter. 3 minutes gone.
Beauty. All right, here it is. This is for you guys. Send in your answers. Blamed for everyone else's faults, he wrote and recorded "Sitting on the Dock of the Bay."
Wow. Okay. I like it. And I like you just have such a pleasant singing voice.
Yeah, thanks.
It's been fun putting this together. We hope you've enjoyed it. I'm Skinny.
I'm Jurassic, the greatest of all time, Mark.
And these are the Village Idioms.
That's 3 minutes gone.